There have been a lot of releases in the sim racing world in 2025, and today we're going to take a look at one of them. This is the RS50 wheelbase and the RS system from Logitech. So in this video, we'll give a quick overview of the entire system, what it's like to use on Xbox, compare it to some of the competition, and ultimately, hopefully give you an idea of whether or not this is a system that you're going to want to invest in and pick up. And a quick note about it is that this did exceed my expectations. So first up, this is a new wheel system from Logitech, and Logitech really has been one of the pioneers in the sim racing world. I think most people have probably started out on a G920 or a G29 or a G923. That's definitely how I did. But beyond those entry-level setups that were released in 2015, the only other sim racing gear that Logitech had come out with was in 2022. And that was the much higher end Pro wheel with 11 Newton meters of torque, but also with the wheel base and the pedal system came in at $1,300. So quite a bit more expensive than the entry-level $400 G923. And then it wasn't until earlier this year when Logitech released something in the middle of the road, and this is the RS50. So first up, let's take a look at the RS system, the pricing, and see where it fits in the market. So it all revolves around this wheelbase, something you can get separately by itself. This is the RS50. It has 8 Newton meters of torque, and it starts at $350 for just PC compatibility. If you want PlayStation compatibility, you can buy one of the wheelbases for $450. Or you can purchase a package, the RS system, that comes with a wheelbase and a wheel in either PlayStation and PC or Xbox and PC variants. And it also comes with a table clamp for mounting the wheelbase to a table for $700. But if you're just planning on playing on a PC and you don't need the table clamp, you can actually save a little bit of money by piecing together the system. If you buy the wheelbase itself for $350, you buy the wheel hub for $180, and a round or track wheel for another $80. You can get a base and wheel setup for $610, so you can save yourself about 90 bucks. Of course, you'll still need some pedals, and there is an RS pedal system that comes with a load cell brake. It has 2 pedals, and that starts at $160. And you can, of course, add a clutch if you want for another $45. So at its cheapest, if you want to get a wheelbase, a wheel, and pedals, you're looking at spending $770. And that will just be for PC compatibility. And when you start to look at the competition, that's actually a fairly competitive price, which was a little bit surprising coming from Logitech. If you're spending full price on the cheapest R9 bundle from Moza, you can get that for $600. It comes with the CS-V2P, and then if you pick up the SRP pedals separately, those come in at $180. So $780 for a Moza setup. Quick note on that, this is of course the best time to buy Moza gear as a lot of it's on sale. I'll have some links to some reviews and also just some affiliate links down in the description if there's something you want to pick up. But also over on the Turtle Beach side of things, there is the Velocity 1 race system that comes in at $650. It features 7.2 Newton meters of torque, a 3-pedal setup, a button box, a digital dash, tons of features for that price. But I don't know that I would recommend going that route just yet. You can check out my full review down in the description. But you came here to learn about the Logitech RS system, so let's get back to that. So what we have here, what Logitech sent out to me to review, is the RS system, which comes with the wheelbase and the wheel. I got the Xbox variant of it, and I got the base RS pedals as well. Now, this is not a sponsored video. Logitech did send them to me, but they have no say in what I say about this, so these are all my thoughts and my experiences with the Logitech wheel. So first, let's take a look at the RS wheelbase. It's an 8 Newton meter direct drive wheelbase. On the front is a quick release, as well as a small screen at the top of the wheelbase, just like the Pro DD11 wheel. There's a small button next to the screen that opens up the menu and allows for changing some settings on the system. Things like force feedback strength, dampening, brake pressure, different things like that. And there are plenty of ins and outs back here for pedals, shifters, handbrakes, a port for power, and the USB-C plug to connect to your system. It's a much more compact wheelbase than the Pro DD11. And Logitech also always gives simple, sleek designs that I think look great in any setup. And now moving on to the wheel. It all revolves around the RS wheel hub, which has different attachments that you can mount to it. Like this is the round wheel. Currently, Logitech also offers the RS track wheel, and there's a Sim GT320 that's made in collaboration with Momo, and there's an upcoming McLaren Formula racing wheel that's not quite available yet. And I was pleasantly surprised by the round wheel and the hub. It feels great in use. The paddles are magnetic, have a nice snappy feel to them, very easy to tell when you're actuating them. The buttons on the front, they feel like, you know, face buttons that you would find on an Xbox controller. They feel really good. There are a couple little rotary dials at the bottom and little select buttons in the middle. It's actually how you change the menu settings, is by using these little rotaries. And the actual feel of the wheel itself, the material on here, is very soft. It feels great in the hand. It feels great in use. In all honesty, it's a much more premium experience than I was expecting. Once again, I expected this to kind of be a more budget setup that just kind of had a Logitech price tag, but the materials, the feel, everything on here has actually felt pretty high quality. And another great thing about this wheel in particular, the round wheel, is that it is totally round. Most of these entry-level wheelbases, even like the G923, they all come with a D-shaped wheel, which has a flat spot across the bottom. And my biggest issue with that is that if you are drifting or in rally, a round wheel really is preferable for that. And I don't really see the point in having a D-shaped wheel. I don't think you get that much more out of it than you would just a straight up round wheel. So I'm glad to see that this is what the RS system comes with. The wheel hub houses 13 face buttons, a directional stick, those 2 rotary controls with center buttons, also has an LED strip across the top for a rev display. All right, next let's cover the pedals. Again, this is a 2-pedal system with load cell brake and Hall effect throttle. The load cell can handle up to 75 kilograms or 165 pounds of pressure. And when dialing in the brake pressure on the wheelbase, the number goes from 0 to 100. The brake feel is adjustable with foam or hard plastic spacers. By default, the 3 foam spacers are installed, and I found this to be too much movement and ended up installing both plastic spacers, which replaced 2 of the foam spacers. Replacing them is simple, and Logitech does a great job of demonstrating this with simple support videos. And of course, your mileage will vary there on how you want the brakes to feel, and it's also going to depend on how you're using it. If you have it set up in a cockpit where you can put more pressure down, or if you're using it on carpet and don't want to have to press as hard, so you can really dial it in to your exact needs. And the pedals do come with hardware to mount, so you can put little extra grippies on there if you are using it on carpet or on a hard floor or up against a wall. But I've got it mounted to the Next Level Racing Formula Lite Pro here. It's always going to be a better experience when it is mounted to a hard surface. And setting everything up is pretty straightforward on the RS wheelbase. The only tricky thing, which Logitech does a great job of outlining all the steps for getting everything set up just on the box with a diagram. There's a tricky thing on the bottom here. We have to put some little sliders in to have the actual threaded mounting points if you are putting it on a cockpit like this. But once again, just, look at the diagrams and you'll easily be able to figure out how that works. The pedals were also very easy to install. They come in separate pieces, which allows you to move them around and space them however you would like. I have them placed pretty close together because this is what I'm used to on my other sim rig. Not like the photos that have them both spread out as far as they can go, which feels like a weird setup to me. All right, so now let's talk about actually using the system. And of course, I have the Xbox system, and so I'm using it on my Xbox, so it actually makes sense to play Forza Motorsport. That's what I've spent the most time in of any, sim racing game, and what I can most directly compare it to when I'm looking at some of the Moza gear that I typically use. And in use, it's been great for bombing around in some of my favorite cars. The large round wheel gives plenty of feedback, and actually, I feel like I can catch slides a little bit easier on this than some of the Moza gear that I've been using. The RS system also incorporates Logitech's True Force, which adds more information through the wheel that may or may not be desired actually. It's supposed to give things like road feel, vibrations from curve, and other small little feedback details that other systems don't always support. It doesn't feel like the RS system is quite as sharp as some of the other systems that I've used, like the Moza gear. Even with dampening turned all the way down, it feels like things are just a little bit softer, not necessarily in terms of power, but just in terms of, a sharp feeling with a very quick movement or lots of really fine detail. The 8 Newton meters of torque feels great, and that's going to be a nice number for people who are newer to sim racing. In ACC, which has a meter for how much force feedback is being applied, I usually have the system turned up to full power, 8 Newton meters, and then in the game, I turned it down to like 70 or 75% gain, which kept it from clipping in most situations. Or every now and then it would hit the red, which meant you're not getting all of the nuance of the force feedback, but that usually wasn't in a corner when I actually needed it. And really, that's the only area where you would want more power from something like this. It's not really about having full 8 Newton meters of torque, in every corner, was about having a little bit of overhead so that you aren't losing some of that dynamic range of low force feedback to high force feedback, so that you're getting every little detail in there. And as far as I can tell, all of the RS system is also compatible with Logitech's more powerful wheelbase, the Pro DD11. So if you do find yourself wanting to upgrade this down the road, you can do that and still use your other peripherals. So throughout this experience, I really have been surprised by the Logitech RS system here. It's a little bit higher quality than what I expected and still priced very competitively. It is more expensive than the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 race system, but it also feels higher quality. And when you compare it to something like the Moza R9 bundle, which does have, 1 more Newton meter of torque, and I would generally consider Moza more of an affordable brand, the Logitech RS kind of holds its own. It's right in that same bracket. And ultimately, I'm happy to see that Logitech is still investing in the sim racing world. For the longest time, we just had the G920, and then we just had that 11 Newton meter Pro wheel, and not much else in between. And they had talked about doing some other systems and wheels and everything, but we hadn't seen anything for a while. But now, can actually see that they are expanding that system. And you can add more things to this. You can add the clutch, you can get a handbrake, you can get a shifter and make it more set up for drifting or rally racing or whatever kind of experience you want in sim racing. And it's just good to know that Logitech is building out a bigger ecosystem. You can kind of build out exactly what you need. Other companies like Moza still do have more options available if you're looking to get really crazy, but Logitech is a more well-known brand that's been around for a lot longer. I'm a big fan of Moza's gear and offerings, but I can also see and understand why somebody would want to invest in Logitech instead. And I'm also testing out Turtle Beach's new, more affordable wheelbase, the KD3, so make sure you're subscribed to catch that review when it does go live. All right, so what do you think about the Logitech RS50? Is it something that's on your wish list, or do you have something else in mind? Let us know down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it easier, and consider subscribing. I'm Jordan with 9to5 Toys.